Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, some updates from Ukraine. You see, those guys in Pokrovsk, Krasnoarmeysk, and Kupyansk are not encircled. The Ukrainians tell you no, but the Russians just shut down a special operation mission organized by Kirill Budanov, who it seems like he's still alive, who tried with a little Black Hawk helicopter to deploy about 11 troops over there. I don't know exactly what 11 troops could do in Pokrovsk, but he tried, and the Russians, all of them. We're going to discuss that in the first topic. The second topic, the Ukrainians launched a drone attack on Moscow region, and Moscow was left without electricity, or at least part of Moscow. Blackout in Moscow. Then we have Mr. Lukashenko, who says, don't test me, I will use Oreshniks when the Oreshniks will arrive in Belarus in December, will be operational 1 month. Then the Ukrainian, they say, military intelligence strikes Russian pipeline feeding army operations near Moscow. Then we have the Russians attacking Ukraine again with 223 drones. And then the last one is Kupyansk and Krasnoarmeysk encirclements make Ukraine's defeat too big to hide. And I will, how should I put it, straight. I will tell you how the guys in charge of the Ukrainian nation keep lying about Krasnoarmeysk or Pokrovsk and Kupyansk by saying, no, the situation is dynamic, we are not encircled. Why? Because Putin did something that checkmate these guys. I will show you. So let's start with the first topic. Russian military thwarts Ukrainian Special Forces operation in encircled town, Ministry of Defense. This is according, obviously, to the Russians. Kiev troops attempted to carry out a helicopter landing near a besieged location in Donbass, the Defense Ministry has said. I'm going to show you where exactly. The Russian military has prevented an attempt by Ukraine to deploy special forces near the encircled town of Krasnoarmeysk, Pokrovsk in Donbass. Western media outlets, including Reuters and The Economist, reported on Friday that Kiev had used a US-supplied Black Hawk helicopter to attempt to deploy elite troops to the eastern part of Krasnoarmeysk. Elite troops, one helicopter. Black Hawk, very small. At least it should have been a Chinook, but Chinook is too big and slow and very loud. The landing attempt with Black Hawk, how can you do that? But anyway, the landing attempt was reportedly personally coordinated by the chief of Ukraine Military Intelligence Services, AGUR, Kirill Budanov, the guy without an arm. I thought he was already blown up, but hey, it seems like he's around still. The Russian Defense Ministry said in a statement on Saturday that, and I'm quoting, a helicopter landing by a AGUR Special Operations Forces group was prevented approximately 1 kilometer, that is 0.6 miles, northwest of the outskirts of the town of Krasnoarmeysk in Russia's Donetsk People's Republic. So where is northeast of Pokrovsk? Let me show you. So this is the map of Ukraine. We're going to go right here. This is Donetsk. We're going to go to the area of Pokrovsk. This is the area of the encirclement. This is Krasnoarmeysk, Pokrovsk. West is right here, 1 kilometer. So I'm going to show you another map, which is a little bit more detailed, coming from the Ukrainians. This is from the Russians, from Sputnik. And I'm going to show you the one from the deep state. That's a Ukrainian thing. And we go to Pokrovsk right here. And Pokrovsk, they say 1 mile, 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles into the west, which is this way here. So they try to stop here, probably to defuse this. How do you call it? This is Pokrovsk right here. You can see the streets and all that. So probably they try to defuse or open up this road here, the supply lines to allow these guys to either leave or maybe supplies coming in. The problem is, I think everything is under the Russians' artillery. Right here, supply line, they cannot do anything. But I don't understand what happened. Nevertheless, I'm just reporting here. All 11 elite Ukrainian troops who descended from the helicopter were, quote-unquote, destroyed. It added 11? What the hell are you going to do with 11? But anyway, maybe they got like 3 Rambos in him. You know what I mean? Maybe that. Last week, the chief of Russian General Staff, Valery Gerasimov, reported the President Vladimir Putin that 5,500 Ukrainian servicemen have been encircled in Pokrovsk, Krasnoarmeysk. Russian forces have also blocked another 5,000 troops in Dmitrov, Mirograd, and Kupyansk, according to Gerasimov. Dmitrov is next to Krasnoarmeysk, to Pokrovsk. Right here is Dmitrov, and Kupyansk is in right here in Kharkov Oblast. This is Kupyansk, exactly here. And we can go to the deep state and we can get a confirmation of that. And we're gonna go right here. This is Kupyansk. Again, try to see the streets where the Russians are. Kupyansk is basically, I was about to say it, right here, still streets to fight. All right, this is the first topic. Next one. Blackout hits Moscow Oblast during Ukrainian drone attack. Residents of the city of Zhukovsky, 40 kilometers southeast of Moscow and surrounding towns, reportedly lost electricity late at night. So what happened, they say? A major power outage swept through Russia's Moscow Oblast overnight, October 31st. The Zhukovsky administration attributed the outage to an emergency situation in a power system, but offered no further details. All right, where is that? Sikorsky, Zhukovsky. All right, let's go to this map. Okay, Google map. We go from Volgograd to Moscow. Moscow, right here. We go southeast. Zhukovsky is exactly here. Zhukovsky. I saw you like there. Where are you? Right here. This is Zhukovsky. This is Moscow. Got it? All right. Let's go to the next one. Ukrainska Pravda. Belarusian leader warns he may use Oreshnik missiles if things go south. That means he tells them, boys, get your things together. We are here dealing with something serious. Self-proclaimed Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has said he needs the Russian Oreshnik missile systems to intimidate neighboring states. That's what he said? This is media for you. While visiting Vitebsk Oblast in Belarus, Lukashenko said the Oreshnik system, which he called a terrifying weapon, would be put on combat duty in December. And I'm quoting, why? I want them, and Ukrainska Pravda says Lukashenko's opponents abroad, to know we can slap them down if things go south. We'll sit down with Putin, decide, and then slap them down, so don't mess with us, he says. Lukashenko said this would enable Belarus to avoid Ukraine's fate, claiming that, and I'm quoting, the war in Ukraine began like this. In Donbass, Russian speakers were oppressed, killed, and persecuted. I saw it with my own eyes. He then reflected on the Minsk agreements, which he claimed that the West and Ukraine used to deceive Russia and us. That is correct. They deceived us. Well, they had their way. 2 million people have been killed or injured. Why are you picking a fight with us? We were living quite normally. Poles, Lithuanians, and so on. So, I dislike, I don't hate this kind of things. I hate certain things, but in this case, I dislike when media outlets or people are portraying the ethnic Russian people in Ukraine as Russian-speaking population, instead of saying ethnic Russians living in Ukraine. And why do I dislike that? Because if I go to Russia and let's say I start speaking Russian, I go to Ukraine, which I won't. If I go to Ukraine, I start speaking Russian over there, I won't be the Russian speaking that Putin would try to protect. Putin is not protecting the Russian speaking people over there. Like me, he would protect the ethnic Russians who happen to speak Russian, okay, in Ukraine. But they are avoiding that. Like they call, for instance, when they refer to Zelensky as the Ukrainian president. Well, I would, if I were in Russia, I would try to minimize that and say not the Ukraine, the president of Ukraine or the leader of Ukraine. Why? I wouldn't consider Zelensky a Ukrainian, just so you know. Just that it happens that he speaks Ukrainian, and I guarantee you Russian as well, and English, doesn't make him a Ukrainian. Yes, he was born there. Yes, he was fucking around over there. That's true. But ethnically, I don't think he is. Okay, let's move on. That's just an extra. So yes, Lukashenko is telling the truth. That's how he started, he said, the carnage in Donbass, in Ukraine. But who started it? The root cause. What's the root cause? US, NATO, expansion. All right, next one. This is according to New Voice of Ukraine on November 1st, 2025. Ukraine's military intelligence strikes Russian pipeline feeding army operation near Moscow. Ukraine's military intelligence service blew up the Koltevoy oil pipeline in Russia's Moscow Oblast on 31st of October, disrupting a key fuel supply route for the Russian army. So that pipeline supplied only, it was stamped right there, only the Russian army. Not the civilian population, just the army. I mean, if you're a baboon, you would believe that. If you are at least normal, you understand that that's BS. But nevertheless, this is what they report, and I'm telling you, the Ukrainians are destroying that with two main interests. One, order from the West, so the Western business can penetrate markets that otherwise would have been not competitive, could not compete with the cheap Russian oil and gas. That's one. And the second one, indeed, if you fight someone, you try to destroy its supplies, which is the natural resources. You have to do that like the Germans tried to get, for instance, to Baku and other areas in order to get in the Caspian Sea. That's why it was a Stalingrad garbage. They tried to get over there and in the south to the Caucasus Mountains to get the Russians, Soviets, my bad, resources and their industries. The Soviets moved them way to the east away from, I'm not talking about the resources, I'm talking with their factories, military factories. But nevertheless, here you have, this is why these guys are striking that. Two-tier attack. One, to have them not sell their oil on the market because they get revenue from that. And the other one, order from the West, so the West can penetrate the market. That's what it is. West being the Americans, not the imbeciles in Europe. Next one, let's see what the Russians did with their drones. Ukrinform. Air Defense Forces destroyed 206 of 223 Russian drones. Alright, let's see what details we got. Russian invaders attacked with 223 Shahed and Gerbera strike UAVs and other types of drones from the following directions. Kursk, Milerovo, Bryansk, Oriol, Primorsko-Akhtarsk, Vardiske, which is in occupied Crimea. About 140 of them were Shahed drones. So they struck from these areas. I will show you in general the location. They start with Milerovo, no, they start with Bryansk, Kursk, Oriol. This area, I don't think they mentioned Shatalovo, but then they said Milerovo right here, then Primorsko-Akhtarsk right here where my strong hand is. Primorsko-Akhtarsk right there, and then from the Crimean Peninsula. So this is where the Russians struck from. So there is north, northeast, east, southeast, and south. Let's see if they tell us what they destroyed or attacked. Not yet. All right, next. Kupyansk and Krasnoarmeysk encirclements make Ukraine's defeat too big to hide. Well, it is too big to hide, but they can because they can have a blackout of information to you if they want. And I will going to give you an example. If you're familiar with Parler, you remember with Parler? That media, whatever it was, not media, it was a platform supposedly. And that was a conservative to the right, let's say, platform where you can say things the way you said, which was at the beginning YouTube as well, but it's changed. And it told the truth too much, so then the government and not only decided to cut it off, and within 12 hours, not 24, 12 hours, you couldn't access your parlor again on your telephone. It was taken away. It couldn't broadcast. It was dead, like it didn't exist. Never. Zero. The transmission towers, everything were cut off in not even 12 hours. And it was so clear that you could not have it. So it's very easy, you can do that in Ukraine. It's harder, you might say. You can find methods if you want, but not Johnny and Mikey and Michelle. It's hard to get information. You have to dig deeper. No, let's see what these guys are saying. And I have another article after this. I forgot about it. The secret meeting. A secret meeting. And this is why I picked this article. Volodymyr Zelensky and his commander-in-chief, Alexander Syrsky. Alexander Syrsky is a ethnic Russian. Okay? Budanov is supposed to be nowadays prime minister, and the foreign minister of Ukraine are Ukrainian, okay, are ethnic Ukrainians. The rest are something else. Are infamous for sacrificing Ukrainian lives to prolong fighting. Mikhail Walterson, former officer of the Swedish Armed Forces and Air Defense, tells Sputnik, commenting on the Krasnoarmeysk, Pokrovsk and Kupyansk encirclements. This is why I picked this one, for this figure right there. Their policy has left up to 20,000 Ukrainian soldiers in a very precarious position. They are left with two bad alternatives, either being eliminated, defending hopeless positions, or taking heavy losses during a very hard withdrawal. In both cases, Ukraine will lose invaluable military units. My point is this blackout of information that these guys are trying to produce create regarding Pokrovsk, Dmitriev and Kupyansk, say, oh no, it didn't happen, it's just tense. I just read a few articles in the Ukrainian media and in American media, and they said the situation is tense and dynamic. Well, and we deny there's no encirclement. But what did Putin do? Putin did the same thing as the Germans did in the Second World War, to expose the Soviet commissars with specific names, ethnic Russians, not all of them, but big majority, overrepresented group in the commissariat. All right, in the Katyn Forest massacre, the Polish intelligentsia, 15,000, kaput gemacht, pak, with a bullet behind their head, in the back of their head. So what the Germans did when they started the Barbarossa operation against the Soviet Union, they did what they were told by the Poles, here are mass graves. And the Germans they said, hey, like Putin right now, all the international media, the Red Cross, you are invited to see the crimes committed. We uncovered the crimes of the commissars of the Soviet Union. And the media came, the Western media came, the Red Cross came, they wrote their reports, and after the Second World War, they blamed it on the Germans. Why? Because the guys were in charge of your media, motherfuckers. That's why. So you found out until 1991 that actually it was not the Germans committing the Katyn Forest massacre, but it was the guys in the Commissar, the guys that were writing the news for you in the West. Got it? So the same Putin said, let them come and eat cake. All right, that is Marie Antoinette, supposedly. So come over here, my friends, and watch and see these guys. I provide you free passage. Free, not free, you're not going to pay. Safe passage to the Krasnoarmeysk or Kupyansk. I let you go in, and you go and tell your imbeciles in the West or wherever you are from, hey, these guys are encircled. But nobody said, oh, we don't come over there because he's a dictator. So that's why he caught them with the pants down and they say, oh my God, the dingy-lingy, that's so small. Anyway, so let's go to the last topic, which is about the secret meeting set in Madrid. Now in Madrid is going to be a new evaluation of how much military aid is going to be provided by NATO to the guys in Ukraine to die for Western interest. When I say Western interest, is Anglo-Saxon interest, not French or, nah. We know exactly who they are. Russia Today. Secret, quote-unquote, Ukraine meeting set for Madrid, El Mundo. Now, when it's secret, it's no more secret if you know about it. Let's put it this way. And I found articles about this secret Ukraine meeting set for Madrid in the Ukrainian media as well. So it's not only from the Russia Today, but it was the easiest way to get here. Why? Because it tells you exactly what it's all about. Kiev's European backers reportedly plan to discuss ways to boost military aid. Ready? The organizers are reportedly maintaining utmost secrecy for the event planned for November 4th, instructing delegates from 35 countries to leave their cell phones in a designated room and refrain from posting about the bab. So 35 countries. 35 countries are the exact number, plus minus, the Al Capone's plantation. Capisci? Understand? Vakarimas? Okay, Vakarimaska? Alright, that's what it is. 35. So when you hear about the international community and they tell you 35, usually they tell you about 50. You know that is the Anglo-Saxon world. Those are the vassals, or those are the plantation guys of the Anglo-Saxon interest. Not Anglo-Saxons like I'm in America, Anglo-Saxons, in my interest. No. The guys in charge of us. It's not my interest. What we get is just a postponement of our slavery. Enslavement. That's what it is. Now they have to take care of these guys. When they secure that, then they come to the native population that supported them with their work, all right? Providing energy for these guys to go and use our military and NATO, the military arm of this interest, and take over and subjugate the world. After that, they're going to go for your freedom, and they will take care of your freedom or my freedom of speech. Not only that, you'll see a lot of things will come. And you know what? They will justify it like this. For your own safety, we will protect you. That's exactly what they did as the drill with the COVID garbage. For the common good, we are in charge of you and we will protect you. How? However we feel fit. But hey, remember, we'll protect you, but we'll not protect us. We can fly, we will go, we will not wear masks, but you need to. Even when you're alone and drive a car like an idiot, you're going to wear a mask. And if you don't do this, we're going to fire you. You can't even swim in the sea without a mask. I mean, my friends. But that's why? That is because, if you remember, maybe if you don't, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, he said, the crimes of the commissars with the black vans or trucks that occurred in Soviet Union occurred because the big mass of the population kept silent. If they would have just said no and they would have come up and jumped these guys, I think they could have at least alleviate or maybe even stop the process of the gulags, according to Alexander Solzhenitsyn with Gulag Archipelago, that hey, we can't talk about the commissars and the guys in charge of the gulags. You never know the names. It was the Russian gulags. No, it ain't, and it wasn't. It was an operation conducted by the same guys who took Russia by the balls with the Bolshevik Revolution. They hijacked the Russian Revolution, turned it into the Bolshevik Revolution, and now they were kicked out. That's why they tried to come back and get Russia again by the throat. The same people using us. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.